Steve, if you were to think of who is like the video game adaptation actor, who's that? Who is it?
The video game adaptation.
Yeah, if you think
actor,
of the person that I'm,
I mean, I have an answer to this
they're
question.
going to put in your video
like
game adaptation. Who is it?
Mila Jovovich.
Oh, I mean, I guess yeah. By like new numbers, I was thinking you were going to say Jack Black because he was in
Minecraft,
Mario, and what was the other one that he was in? He was Borderlands. He was in Borderlands too.
Right.
He was in the voice in all. Well, he was in his live action Minecraft. Actually, watched Mario with my son yesterday.
Galaxy?
In the first one.
Oh, okay.
Way better than I remember it the first time. Like, it has a plot that like mostly logically follows, and for me, that's what I'm looking for in something like this. Anyway,
it's a fun film that I enjoy watching.
I still don't think it was great, but it was better than I remember.
Beautiful.
Sure,
oh my
looks
gosh,
good,
it's
whatever.
gorgeous.
Sure.
The animation is great. It's fine.
Now
it's fine.
I think you're right. Mila Jovovich is like the number one.
Yeah,
like, all the Resident Evils, obviously in Monster Hunter, right? For sure. So we'll put that. That's kind of untouchable at this point.
I think she was Blood Rain, if I remember correctly.
Was she Blood? I don't know if she was actually Blood Rain. I don't remember.
Anyway,
but Jack Black would be second. But I'm actually gonna say there's a new contender to the throne.
Is it Chris Pratt?
No.
Okay, good.
It is.
Look, I love. This is not to hit on Chris Pratt, but
it is Nick Offerman.
Oh, that's right. He's going to be in Elden Ring.
Nick Offerman. Yes, he's going to be in Elden Ring, and we're going to talk about that. But he was also obviously famously in The Last of Us.
Right.
As Bill.
Right.
One of the best episodes of television ever.
Yeah, really, really
and
good episode.
And he's going to be a voice or a character in the Sonic the Hedgehog 4.
Who is he?
The voice cast for Sonic has been
Amy.
Incredible, and I hope so. Maybe Big the Cat. But the voice cast and just cast for Sonic has been incredible and hilarious. Like, funny, but also like, everybody's doing this is great, you know?
Oh, and the moment they pulled Idris Elba, it's been like
that was like new level of
what?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I can get, Jean Ralphio for Sonic, perfect voice, really great. Also, like, fame level, I get that. That makes sense.
Perfect.
Idris Elba. Anyway, Nick Offerman. The cast for what we really want to talk about right now. Cast for Elden Ring has been announced. Not the what roles they're playing, but the actual actors.
Yeah.
A lot of them. I mean, Kaylee Spaney's going to be. It makes sense. Been Alex Garland's the director. They've been in several of his movies. Some of their own. Jonathan Pryce, older British actor. Makes sense. Nick Offerman obviously has the voice for a character, a deep whatever character. But you are it's still funny to me because I still think of him as mostly Ron Swanson.
Right, of course.
He's also just a funny dude.
Oh, the memes are going to be
outstanding.
So I'm very excited for these memes.
But you are, between us, you are the Elden Ring. You're the master of the Elden Ring. I played through it. I beat
the Elden Lord.
You're the Elden Lord,
That's what it would be, nerd.
I beat the game, but you platinumed it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So, who's Nick Offerman gonna be in these famously story light games?
Okay, first
lore heavy, active story light.
Okay, that's a good way to describe it.
Thank you.
Lore heavy.
There's so much in there.
Light.
I'm not saying there's nothing. I'm just saying as you play, the story is pretty light.
So, first of all, I'm going to guess that they're going to introduce a lot of new
characters.
You
think it'll be original characters
because there is no protagonist. Well, I mean, you're the protagonist. There's no main character. Let me rephrase that.
You have the what's his name? The Tarnished. You have the
Tarnished. It's just the Tarnished, and that's it, right? And there's not really more going on.
I'm very curious how this movie's
going to work.
So I'm
really guessing that they're going to be introducing a whole lot more people. I could see him being, a lot of different people. But
who do you want him to be?
Who do I want Nick Offerman?
Because I can tell you who I want him to be.
I mean, there's I can't remember
because I want to see this character in the movie.
I can't remember the whole peninsula that's just south of you when you start the game.
Florida.
The king of that area. He's a pretty simple character that it's very normal guy.
Just guy.
Just
very
guy
normal guy. Who's where am I? What is
do that
this
as
place?
well. But if I had to pick a big name character for him, I could see him being like Morgott, just somebody with a voice where if he wants
Who's
to
Morgott?
make it, he's the one who kicks the crap out of us in in Night Rain.
The one
that's like,
do you mean
oh,
do you mean Margit?
Yes.
Do they have two different names? One's Morgott and one's Margit?
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. Okay, so yeah, your vain ambitions or whatever he says.
Yes.
Foul
Because
tarnished.
if he wants to put on a commanding voice like that, he absolutely could do that.
I want him to be Radon because I want Radon in the movie because I want to see him riding his little horse.
Radon.
I want to see.
Oh, Radon has to be in the movie.
I want to see him in a costume. I don't want this to be animated. I want a big old Nick Offerman in his red costume riding little Sebastian. You've watched Parks and Rec, right?
I have not.
Oh.
It's one where everybody keeps telling me just skip season 1, and I watched like 3 episodes of season 1, and I'm like,
You waited a long time to watch The Office.
I did.
And then you watched it, and you really liked it.
Well,
it's
I
not
watched
like you're
it,
the
and I was
show of your
stoned
life.
out of my gourd on pain
That's
meds
true,
because I was
and drugs.
Yeah, with my back pain and whatnot.
Sure, but you watched The Office, but
then
you
I
liked
watched it a second and a third time.
Okay, yeah.
It's so
You'll
good.
like Parks and Rec. Skip season 1 if you want to. That's fine. It doesn't matter at all. You'll like Parks and Rec. Doesn't matter. But there is a little horse in the show called Little Sebastian. and Nick Offerman riding a little horse because he's giant, but would be perfect. It would be the perfect meme, like in-universe appropriate meme for that horse is Little Sebastian 100%.
Do you know the story of the little horse?
Yeah, he like loved his horse and then grew really big because of like the disease or whatever, and then learned gravity magic
just so
to
he
make
could
it so he could ride his little horse, which ends up in this like massive epic crazy boss battle being the funniest
hilarious
image.
It's
the funniest
so
juxtaposition.
I love it.
It's so good.
No,
anyway,
I'm there
Nick
with you.
Offerman's in Elden
Nick Offerman as
Ring.
Radon. Make it happen.
Nick Offerman has to be Radon or it makes no sense. I think it would work voice-wise too or whatever.
I mean,
I want to see Nick Offerman
that's
just
gonna be a meme.
meteor down
Sebastian.
from space onto the player, and man, I didn't even think about this. This wasn't my goal, but he has to be Radon now. That has to be Little Sebastian. Oh my goodness. Anyway, looking forward to the Elden Ring movie.
Yes.
It's gonna be
dude, and the Bloodborne animated movie.
I'm mostly more curious than I am like excited.
Bloodborne animated movie produced by Jacksepticeye.
Hey, Stephen Colbert's writing a Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah,
so
he is. Yeah,
you got to do what you got to do. Out here, see what works.
Okay,
anyway,
let's podcast.
Let's podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Save and Continue, where theology and pop culture meet. I am a wizard, Harry, and I am Steve.
And I'm a squib.
You are a squib.
What is
you should be
magic?
magical.
What are you talking about?
No.
I'm just some guy. I want to be
Muggle.
in the Harry Potter universe. I just want to be some muggle who is completely unaware of everything happening.
Squibs are magical.
Oh, squib is a magical person without magic.
Without magic, yeah.
Born into like Filch.
Muggles are
Muggles. Yeah, that's
the
right.
ones who don't.
Maybe I am a squib. I don't know.
How dare
Maybe
you.
the rest of my family is keeping very, very big
You're bringing
secrets.
up a lot of my lore knowledge in this episode already, and
yeah,
I was like, how dare you,
We're going to be
sir?
talking about Harry Potter. If you are not familiar, or if you're not aware, there is a new Harry Potter adaptation show coming out this summer. I think pretty soon, a couple months from now.
Right.
It's supposed to be another adaptation of the books of the seven.
More accurate adaptation.
I guess more accurate. It's got more
that's the
time
whole
to
idea.
actually display the things that it's doing. Like apparently one season per book is what it seems like.
Although I would not be at all surprised if by book 5 they're doing 2 per book.
If it's popular enough, I
Yeah.
think they would have no problem stretching that out.
I'm going to be shocked if it's not. I know that there's a lot of controversy.
Oh, it's going
with all
to, yes.
that
There's
kind
going to
of
be
stuff,
so
but-
many people online advertising for it by hating it.
Yes.
By
Well,
screaming about how it's terrible or
and
whatever.
conservative Christians are going to be like, the far left hates it, But the far right also
But
hates
the far right also hates it.
What do I do?
What do I do? No, yes. So there's a new show. It's a pretty big deal because definitely for millennials and for Gen X like you, Harry Potter is a pretty formative story. I read them at the exact age they were supposed to be for. Like the first one came out, I want to say in 97, 98,
Something like that.
something like that. I was 7 or 8 years old. It was exactly for me, and then I grew up with Harry Potter. Like,
well, exactly the right age would be 11, 12, 13.
I guess
14,
that's
15,
true.
17,
I mean,
but
I'd say reading level.
you are like target demographic.
I was the target demographic. Reading level, I was right there. There's no problem. I read them. My grandparents or whoever bought them for me as they came out. Really wish I had kept them at this point, but yes. And so I consumed them ravenously, as well as the movie. Saw the midnight releases. I'm sure you read them also as they were coming out, or at least not. Is it? Oh,
I got.
You've read them several times since.
Oh, so I think I'm at 15 times.
Yeah. But not
I
when
have
they
a
were
near
coming out.
annual reading of.
I guess at that point you were late high school into college age.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where I was just like, no, I'm not going to.
That's for the
when
kids.
I became a youth pastor, my students
were
were in love with it, and I finally did the. All right, I gotta know.
Let me be aware.
Especially as somebody who's an advocate for nerd culture, I gotta be aware.
I did that with Hunger Games. Hunger Games was that for me.
Yep. Same.
So what we want to talk about today is, well, maybe a little bit of history of.
A little bit of history.
I mean, we're going to talk about satanic panic,
We're gonna talk
essentially.
about the satanic panic.
There was when Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter came out, especially the movies, I would say, maybe more significantly. Well, probably both. Whatever. People were in an uproar about kids being given books about magic, wizards and witches, and later in the series, like literal like dark magic, sacrificial kind of things. And maybe how we should approach it as Christians.
Right.
How to think about magic, especially in a story like that. But before we get to that, are you going to watch this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I was talking to my wife about it. We have very different opinions on Harry Potter at this point. For her, it is very formative, more so than me. And she has a much harder time wrestling with the idea that maybe they're not amazing. Like, thematically, tonally, whatever, some stuff in it is kind of not great when you look back at it. And I'm okay with looking back and saying, yeah, that's not perfect. I enjoyed reading them. I probably will read them again at some point, maybe. But I'm also okay saying these aren't perfect.
Oh, to me, it's exactly that, but I still love it. It's like old movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you look at them
watch
as
an old movie and you're like, oof, that was rough,
both
man.
a story
I can't believe
and
they
a
did
time
that.
capsule.
Exactly.
It's
but you can also
demonstrating
say,
a certain thing.
But I really enjoy this. I
Now,
love
there
this
is,
still.
obviously, we cannot ignore in this entire, like, atmosphere, the J.K. Rowling of it all.
Yeah.
This is the book she wrote. I don't know what her involvement is on the show. I'm sure she's got some kind of involvement. I'm not sure if she's actually writing any of it or if it's just a story by, kind of thing. But she has become infamously renowned for her attitudes about trans people, about her advocacy for what some people would say is anti-trans legislation and various things like that. So it's a really curious thing that they're doing this. Actually, you know what? It's not. It's going to make them a lot of money, but it is fraught. It is a real fraught situation that they are entering into.
But I will say, so today we're talking about witchcraft.
Yes.
From the perspective of Christianity. We touched on this a little bit in our episode on horror.
Yeah.
But we're going to really dig deep into a lot of the theology and history and things like that I have dug into quite a bit.
Yeah.
We will not really be addressing the whole J.K. Rowling
That's not
thing.
our goal here.
Right, that's not our goal. So, but I think, like you said, I think it's worth mentioning, no matter your opinion on the matter, no matter what you think about transgenderism or whatever else, it is unchristian to dehumanize other human beings.
Right, 100%.
It is not Christ-like to be cruel and vitriolic and dismissive to an entire people group.
Right.
And that's not okay.
Right.
Don't do that.
We are.
So.
I'd say both of us are nowhere near in agreement with J.K. Rowling and her viewpoints or actions.
Right.
What we want to talk about is the concept of witchcraft and how do we address that as Christians in the media. I mean, Harry Potter is symbolic, I would say. Harry Potter is like the big thing that we're talking about, but it's not like magic isn't anywhere else. Like we play a game called Magic the Gathering. a lot, and so it's a whole thing. So let's kind of get into when Harry Potter came out. I wasn't super aware of all the like miasma about it in the culture.
Right.
Like I said, I was 7 or 8 or whatever. I read them. I liked them. My family had no problem with them. They bought them for me. I read them. They liked that I was reading. They would generally,
yeah.
even though our let's say our budget was not great, our income was not very high, my parents, which I'm very thankful for, would usually try to buy me as many books as they possibly could. And I liked reading, and it was very formative for me, and it was a great thing to spend your money on.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't really have anybody saying you can't read that or that's a problem. I don't even remember being told that at church. We grew up for at least in the same church, or at least attended the same church.
Yeah.
For a good chunk. I grew up in one church, basically first grade through graduating high school. You were there for part of your childhood.
I didn't become a Christian until I was 16.
Gotcha.
So it was
Right.
16, 17, 18 until I graduated.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And then I was an intern there for 15
yes, and then you
months.
worked there for a couple of years. So we both had experience there. I remember they were the type of church to do like anti-Da Vinci Code essentially type things. Like when that was a big deal, they had a whole series that was cracking the code or whatever like that. And it was basically like this, defensive against this popular thing that was supposedly anti-Christian.
If you think American evangelical, that's this church.
That was
Like,
essentially
it's
this,
real,
a very
real
seeker-sensitive
Yeah.
mega church.
Oh, very much
very
so.
much a corporate kind of thing. But I don't remember there being an uproar about Harry Potter there. So I'm wondering if I just don't remember, or if it was just that was one that was under the radar for them, or they just didn't.
Not to the extent of a lot of the other things that were going on at the time. I think that they understood that it was... Gosh, it's crazy when we think that we attended at the same time.
We were there at the I was literally thinking that. We were there at the same time.
Yeah.
But you're 10 years older than me? 8 years older?
Yeah, somewhere
So,
in that area.
I was just some kid in the children's ministry, and you were in high school.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But, so... We probably crossed paths.
We
I
probably
volunteered
crossed
in the
paths
children's ministry
many times.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Okay, we're you guys are live listening to us realizing this.
Yeah, this is our
Wait
stream
a
of
second.
consciousness.
But there was probably a recognition of it, but also that it was for kids.
Yeah.
And that they didn't need to preach it from the pulpit.
Yeah.
I know that in youth group, it was kind of a hot topic.
Okay.
But not enough to preach about, but definitely enough for people to discuss and talk about. And there was obviously both sides of it's a book. It's a fiction book.
It's a fictional book, and it's, we do have, I'm not going to, but I could name for everybody a friend of ours who did not allow their children to read Harry Potter. Like I know for a fact, like we've had students in the youth group when we were involved in youth group. I had friends who parents did not allow that kind of thing. Did not allow that in their household.
Absolutely.
It was significant. It was a big deal.
My wife.
Really?
My wife.
Yeah,
grew
no,
up
you know what? That makes a lot of sense.
Not able to read these things or to be part of these things or whatever else. Like all of that was off limits to her completely.
And to this day, she just entirely hates fantasy.
Right.
And all kinds of magic and everything.
She certainly didn't meet a handsome, nerdy
She reads.
Mexican
Well, that's true.
in college.
She didn't meet a handsome, nerdy Mexican in college. She reads nothing but like the Farmer's Almanac now.
Yep.
Just like nonfiction about World War II.
She loves
their
the
whole
telephone
thing.
book.
That's her whole thing.
Just
memorizes
every
the
time
dictionary.
It comes out, man. So
anyway, so it was a big deal.
Yes.
And a big deal about it was that it was about magic. It was
and one thing,
unashamedly about wizards and witches, and quote unquote normalized it.
One thing that we have to remember, especially today, is what the culture was like at the time. This is true for any type of looking at the history. But we were in a time pre 9/11, pre Trump, everything like that. There was like the Gulf War going on at the time, Desert Storm and things like that. But
in the general midst,
right. But for the most part, America was at peace and at peace with itself.
True.
And so humans love controversy, and so we sure did like to seek out controversy.
Yes.
And so we would go and we'd try to look for things to be mad about, and at that time a lot of it was Pokemon,
looking for cultural issues that can be used as divisions.
Right.
I mean, we are done with the Cold War at this point.
Right.
We have defeated the evil communist Russia or whatever. And so now who's the enemy? Who's the enemy of Christian America?
Right.
Sure, J.K. Rowling. Let's go with Harry
it's
Potter.
gotta be
Let's
pop
go with
culture.
Pokemon. All those Pokemon are demons now. Watch out for the demon Jigglypuff. It will sing you to your death. And so Harry Potter landed firmly in
it was
that target.
Mewtwo and Pikachu. Mewtwo only has 3 fingers,
Right,
which looks
right,
like
right.
the satanic symbol,
Good
which
point,
is 2
good
fingers,
point.
question mark?
Well, no,
This
it's
means I
because
love
I'm
you.
Mewtwo and I love Satan. You
But
gotta
the argument was
combine
literally
both of
like
them.
Mewtwo only has 3 fingers, so it's always in the satanic symbol. And I remember being like,
That's
well,
not.
hold on.
Hold on.
That's not. But then that apparently the lightning bolt is also a satanic symbol, and Pikachu's tail is a lightning bolt, and the lightning
True.
bolt
Wait,
scar on
I
Harry
guess
Potter's
fell
head.
from heaven like lightning, something like that.
I
don't
have
know.
no idea. Why.
Yeah, I mean it's all
I
nonsense.
think that one was just made up. You know
Finding
what I mean?
something,
Like,
but I
yeah.
remember watching a clip of a preacher. Just all these Pokemon are demons, and they all represent
Right.
some. It's like I don't think you know about Pokemon, dude.
It's
What's
weird.
Bulbasaur? Actually, that one's evolution because dinosaur. Yep. Never mind.
Terrible.
Actually, I'm being convinced now that I think.
Yeah,
about
that's it. They're all demons. Yeah.
100%.
But okay, we've spent a lot of time setting the table,
Yes.
and also mocking. But
Yes.
let's
Witchcraft. People, the Christian church was not liking it because witchcraft is evil,
right.
and
Still
would say
today, that's a conversation.
100%. Still
Yes.
today, it will be brought up again here in a couple months when this show is active.
Right,
For sure,
right.
there will be people talking about it. So, scriptural take on witchcraft. How is it talked about? What does it mean? What does it say about witchcraft and magic?
So the very first thing that we have to do when we want to take a look at what Scripture is saying when it warns us against magic is, of course, historical context
Sure.
and
I
original
guess.
words. So with a lot of this stuff, whenever we talk about the Bible and its original language or whatever else, we have to remember that people say this is what the Bible says about witchcraft. The Bible says nothing about witchcraft. The Bible never uses the word witchcraft. The Bible uses the words pharmakoa
Yeah.
and magi and shamak and all these other words that were
It's the danger of saying that just means this in English. No,
Right.
it doesn't.
There's
There are
so
different
much more
words
to it.
that might be used. Words in general might be used to refer to similar things. They are still different words with different cultural contexts.
Right. So when we take a look at these things in the Old Testament, first and foremost, there are a couple of words that that they used for witchcraft or sorcery. That I said shamak. I don't know if that's it. There's a couple of the ancient
Sure.
Hebrew words that they used for this, and both of these words essentially mean to whisper or to hiss. And so you're talking like quiet, harsh talking. And that's literally what these means. And the idea was you were trying to speak to another entity. So let's take a look at
Okay.
Elijah and the prophets of Baal.
Yeah.
Right? And they were trying to speak to Baal to get things to happen. They were whispering prayers. They were hissing prayers to Baal to make things happening, and obviously failing. And
Famously.
famously failing, because the entire purpose, the real fear in all of this was the calling on other powers.
Yeah.
It was going to someone else or something else for power. We have to remember, again, returning to the Elijah and the prophets of Baal, that Elijah called down fire from heaven.
Yeah.
He whispered to a supernatural deity
And cause
and
an elemental
called down,
response.
And called an elemental response. Like, if we want to talk about magic,
Right.
he called upon a power and
Yeah,
something
yeah.
exploded in
so
flames.
funny to think about, like
He did exactly the thing that we want to be like, oh no.
whoa.
That's
It's like telling students in a youth group, hey, in the Old Testament, they sacrificed animals to God.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put them on an altar and cut them open and drained the blood. Like the thing we think about with satanic cults or whatever
Exactly.
is what God ordained.
exactly.
And
It's
responded to.
the context that is important.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
talk about divination.
Yeah.
God gave Solomon wisdom.
Yes.
He gave him
He gave the priest some dice to roll in order to learn what he wanted.
Exactly. Like, there's so many situations in which the things that we, particularly in the Old Testament, are like, oh no, that's witchcraft. but God does these things for his people.
Yeah.
So when we look at the idea of witchcraft, it is not the outcome that is the problem.
Oh, yes.
It is not, am I gaining wisdom? And there are prophets. Am I gaining knowledge of the future?
Sure.
Am I gaining supernatural power?
Yep.
Whether it's
The Holy
Samson's
Spirit.
strength,
Yep.
whether it's explosions of flame. That is not what we are worried about in the Old Testament at all.
Yeah.
That is not the concern. The concern is who we are going to when we seek these things.
Motivation and source. Yeah.
It is who we are whispering to or who we are hissing to when we say these prayers to try and get this power. And so the Old Testament is really talking about, okay, there is power, because this is something that we talk about a lot, is there is a supernatural realm. There are other powers out there.
Sure.
That is fact. That is real. And this is why I'll probably return to this later. I do not support tarot cards, Ouija boards, things that are explicitly made to speak to a super, like that's the goal of this. Harry Potter's goal is to have a fun fantasy story.
Mm-hmm.
Tarot card's goal is to speak to a spiritual realm to try and get supernatural knowledge.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So these are the things where I draw the line. But within the Old Testament, it's who we are going to seek the power, why we are seeking that power, and trusting God if he says no. It's okay if we tell God, please work a miracle and heal this person.
Yeah.
And then if that person is healed, we didn't cast a spell. God just answered our prayers.
Yeah.
That's the deity that we whispered to. And it was,
A righteous ask.
Yeah, a righteous ask. But if God says no, we don't then go seek other powers.
Yeah.
That's what the Old Testament is concerned with.
Sure.
Who are we speaking to? Why are we speaking to them? Are we satisfied with the outcome? In the New Testament, there's a couple of words. It's magi and pharmakoa. Magi is the one where we get like mage from, and like the three magi.
Yep.
For magi, it was more of, there was a little bit of quote unquote magic involved with that, but mostly what it was for the magi is they were highly intelligent.
They were
people,
smart, and it made them look like wizards compared to the average Joe.
So they would do things like, because the three magi, the magi followed a star. That was so important. They followed a star to Jesus because a big part of being a magi was astronomy. And so they would look up in the sky and they'd do math and they'd draw out lines and they'd see whatever. And then they'd tell people there's going to be an eclipse in 3 days. And then an eclipse would come in 3 days and people would be like, you're a wizard. What? How did you do?
And they were like, no, we're just kind of dorks. It's like how people just talk about like heavy metal, like satanic. No, you listen to like heavy metal from the 80s. It's mostly a bunch of dorks singing about like Lord of the Rings and stuff. Like, it's not what you think it is.
Right. Exactly. So that one is more about how these people were intelligent to a point that they were able to predict things that other people didn't realize.
Yeah.
Then the one that is most often used and the
big
one
that comes up
specifically warned against is pharmakoa.
Yes.
This is the word witchcraft.
Yeah.
In
how it's translated.
But we translate to witchcraft. Right. You may see a familiarity in this term, pharmakoa, because it's where we get our word barbacoa from.
The delicious.
And these people would just tempt others with barbecue.
Ooh.
And
Hold on, we need to pause. I need to go and have a huge breakfast.
Fox, I rebuke you. The power of Christ compels you. The barbacoa is calling.
Barbacoa is
refuse it.
me.
Refuse it. No, pharmacy.
I went there yesterday. Am I a Satanist?
Yes.
Oh, dang it.
No, so
Bummer.
pharmacoa is where we get our word pharmacy from, because the original witches were drug dealers. That's the reality.
That's what
of
current drug dealers should call themselves.
Witches.
Your local witch.
Your local witch. Man, they would probably get a lot more societal acceptance.
Yeah, it'd at least be kind of funny.
Except for they'd be witches to your local middle school, and that's that's when no.
You'd confuse people at least.
No thanks.
No, I don't want them to. I'm just saying I think it'd be funnier if they did.
So at the time, there would be, when we like think of the term witch doctor, that's a really common one. So they would use poultices and concoctions and whatever else to heal people. They would be mixing what at the time they would be like, oh, a leaf of this and root of this and mix
Eye of
this
newt
and
double trouble boy.
I put this on
real
any
Sanderson
keels,
sisters.
but then we're like, nah, man, that was like penicillin, and I mean not literally that, but it was like.
I mean, there probably was a lot of accidental penicillin.
Probably, actually, yeah. But it was just that these are plants that had medicinal, real, legitimate medicinal properties that they just didn't understand had medicinal properties at the time.
Yeah.
And these people would do a little potion spell or whatever, and then apply it.
They learned these things.
And they would heal.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. Obviously, I am pro-medicine.
Right.
I've got medications that I take every day and, whatnot. That medication not bad. Jesus says that doctors are for the sick.
Yeah.
It's part of a metaphor that he's using, but he's not going to use sin as part of his metaphor for...
because that would not be a metaphor.
Right, exactly. Like, he's not going to say, murderers are for the weak. I came for the law.
Your metaphorical sin is sin.
Right. So he says... doctors have come for the sick. I have come for the lost. He uses this as part of a metaphor because it's okay for the sick to go to doctors.
Right.
That's fine. It's okay to get prescribed. There was a different word for doctors at the time, for healers that don't claim any sort of supernatural type stuff. And so that's fine.
Yeah.
The other part of what Pharmacoa did were spiritual experiences that you could obtain through potions and
talking
concoctions.
about like hallucinogens, maybe kind of thing. Okay.
Exactly that kind of stuff. And so the idea would be to either spiritually or recreationally just get stoned out of your gourd, man. And that was also a big part of what they did. They were called to parties, to like large gatherings, things like that, and even more so to different spiritual type celebrations and whatnot. And the idea would be, again, we have to recognize that these people didn't understand drugs and drug
we were a
use
ways
and
off
whatever.
from germ theory.
And so all we knew was he takes these plants and these roots and these whatever and mixes them up, and I drink them and I see crazy things. Clearly this is Zeus or Baal or whomever giving me visions because the witch doctor came and did this for me. So what was being warned against at the time was, look, God does not need a middleman for this. The New Testament, huge part of the New Testament is God doesn't need a middleman. Right?
That's it. Yeah. That's kind of the ultimate, like, that's what the gospel is.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We don't need a middleman here.
Like
we've had one for a little while, but it was unnecessary.
The middleman was the sacrificial animal, but now here's Jesus, and then the big part is the Iron Curtain is not Iron Curtain. That's a completely different thing.
Going back to the Cold War, and now let's tie these all in together.
The curtain to the the high priest area. The Holy of Holies. Curtain to Holy of Holies is torn open.
Literally torn.
Yes, saying that anybody can have access now. Like there doesn't need to be a middleman to you experiencing God or to God coming to you. The indwelling of the Holy Spirit is an important. Book of Acts talks about that coming in where God can move in you. You don't need a middle ground for God to move in you, to move with you, to give you visions, to do things for you.
These things still happen in the New Testament.
Yes.
Miracles still take place. Visions are still given. Messages are still received. It's not simply an Old Testament thing. It's literally just what the source is, like we were saying. Yeah.
I look, y'all, if we ever meet, I can tell you stories about miracles that I have seen, times that I have heard the voice of God. Like, he still does these things.
Right.
These are still present today. No drugs needed, right? And so the writers of the New Testament are saying, hey, don't go seeking an experience with God via a middleman. That's not the way you're going to get to him.
Sure.
He's there for you without that. Do not go. And what's interesting is that when we look at where witchcraft is forbidden, oftentimes it is paired with sins of the flesh, like gluttony and sexual immorality, because this is not a spiritual thing that they're necessarily worried about. It's the physical part of getting high, recreationally,
Sure.
changing your body, inebriation, like with alcohol.
Sure.
You know, it's paired with that a lot
Yeah.
because the whole idea is, look, this is a physical thing that is happening to you. Don't let yourself be physically hampered in this way.
Okay.
So we can see that in these places, there are who we're talking to and why we're talking to them and how we are experiencing.
How the methodology.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I understand what you're saying. You're basically saying that witchcraft scripturally is not the same thing as what a story like Harry Potter uses as its storytelling device.
Absolutely.
But
Okay.
I want to push back a little bit.
Yeah.
There are still some visuals to talk about hissing or whispering.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter literally has the ability to talk to snakes. Harry Potter, like there are things in these books that are, yes, maybe I'll grant you the idea that he is not literally using them in the way that the prophets of Baal were using them, but he is still mixing together potions in order to obtain certain medicinal or even, I mean, like you have your what's it called? The lucky potion, the Lucius
Felix Felicis.
Felix Felicis. Yes, I was gonna say Lucky Luciano. That's a like a runner, I think, like a track star. Anyway, so he still does these things. He still invokes power that is not from God. Like the story of Harry Potter does not talk about God's power, and he is not using his wand to call upon, you know, the power of the Lord to Expelliarmus or to insert spell here. He is invoking power of some kind that is not explicitly or really implicitly even from God. So I'm wondering, like, yes, even if somebody were to say, sure, he's not saying, Baal, give me power, he's still using power, using some kind of supernatural power, not something us muggles can do,
Right.
to affect the world, to hurt people sometimes when he thinks it's justified, to affect his luck. Like these kind of, not spiritual, I would say luck is, but like it's this kind of general, like, ethereal idea. So I would say, could we still say it's justified that these things are not of God, that these characters are doing?
If you wanted to look at the book series from 100 yards away through like blurry binoculars,
Which
maybe,
that's how I read everything.
Yeah.
So thank you.
But a huge, just as is important in, not just as important, that's not true, in a similar way to as it's important to know the context within scripture,
Yeah.
it's important to know the context within the actual fiction that we're writing in.
Okay.
First and foremost, it's fiction. We know it's fiction. We are aware of the fictional nature
How
of
did they
this.
do it in the movie then?
Well,
I watched them.
The movies are not fiction. That
Okay.
one, yeah,
All
that
right.
one was
Those are
real, yeah.
documentaries.
And those you are
They
saying
were
if you watch them.
coincidentally the same story as the
Right,
books.
right. Yeah, but no. So this is fiction, and first and foremost, when we just recognize this is all coming from somebody's brain, it becomes a lot easier to be like, okay, maybe this isn't big of a deal. J.K. Rowling is not a secret deity. She is not,
As far as we know.
as far as we know, yeah. She is not, some sort of evil entity trying to draw people to her, to worship her or praise her, any more than your typical famous person.
Okay.
Any more than your typical
Okay.
public figure.
All right. We put enough caveats in there.
So that's the quick and easy one is just, look, man, it's fiction. We
Okay.
know it's fiction. This didn't happen. We all know that this is pretend. It doesn't apply to anything real. It's like science fiction. Like we don't need to be worried about the virus or whatever it is, the weird black line in Project Hail Mary. Whatever it is that's going.
No spoilers, man. I've never watched or read it.
Oh.
There's a black line in it, I guess.
Really? You didn't know? You okay.
No, I don't know anything about it.
Fine, whatever disaster coming in whatever disaster movie,
insert
whatever
thing
else.
here.
Like
Matt Damon's
are-
poop potatoes.
these might be real things that could happen, but that movie's fiction. And we don't need to worry about that. yes, there are other powers and entities that are real that can, impact the world around us. But Harry Potter is fiction. None of that is real.
Okay.
None of that is anything that like involves the real world. But what's even more so applying to this is when we look at these types of books, whether it's Harry Potter or Percy Jackson or, whatever else.
Sure.
How are these people receiving these powers? So in Harry Potter, it is education. It's knowledge.
I mean, it's based kind of genetic luck, it seems like.
So it is a natural gift that is given to them.
Or natural
and then
ability.
they have to go to school for it.
Yeah, it's true.
So if you were to say child A is naturally more geared toward math than child B, and then they go to school and child A studies math more heartily, and now they have a power that child B does not. They have an ability that child B does not. Now we consider a mundane ability, mathematics, because we all know mathematics.
And you can learn math without being naturally what's the term? I don't remember. I'm not even gonna try.
Without natural proclivities?
Yeah, without a natural, like there are people whose brain works better at figuring out math problems than mine.
Right.
I don't like math very much. I could still learn how to do it.
Right. And then, so for that matter then, athletics. There are some things that when somebody is born, they will not be able to do something that when somebody else is born will be able to do.
To a certain degree.
Yeah. Like just natural abilities
True.
that people have. But again, because these things are mundane, we don't we don't think of them as like, that's witchcraft. That's evil. Like
Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
He's a wizard.
Runs 30 miles per hour. He's clearly a wizard, But that's a great example. Is Usain Bolt is this dude has done stuff. I remember reading an article saying he should not be able to do this. When we have studied the human body and the physics of the human body and the biology of the human body, he should not be able to run this fast. But he is. And we say that's incredible. His natural athleticism, his work, and his study is literally breaking what we thought was real. We don't say, you're a witch,
Not
how
anymore.
dare you, right?
we as humans said that to a pretty recent time in life.
Okay. But when we consider like in Harry Potter, we see that this is a natural ability that some people have that others don't. For you to be good at this ability, you do need to go to school for it, to learn about it, to become better at it. This is something that's essentially within you. Or like in the Dresden Files is another good example.
Yeah.
This is a natural, real thing that just exists in the world. Only certain people know how to tap into it, though. It was like if only certain people knew about electricity.
Yeah.
And so they could light lamps and charge batteries, and other people didn't understand how they were doing that. But it is a natural force in the world, just like anything else is a natural force in the world. Harry talks a lot about the equations he has to do, the study he has to do, the math that he has to do, the physics. He talks about physics a lot in this because it is a real natural force in the world.
It is an application of natural things.
These people are not calling other deities.
That's true. The Harry Potter, to me, it's almost a standout now when I think about it or read through them again. They don't ever talk about what this is. It's just a thing. It's just a thing that exists. They never talk about like a source of like it seems people don't have a magic gauge, like they don't have they don't run out of MP, essentially they don't. It's like if you are physically exhausted, you'll have a harder time, but like they don't ever really talk about that. I'd almost be more interested in watching the new show if that was something they kind of got into, like added to the kind of mythology of it,
the midichlorians of it.
Then just call it midichlorians. Just go for it, man. Like bring George onto this one. That would make it better. I'd watch it if George Lucas were involved. They don't really talk about the source. I guess the issue then is purely about the image of what's happening.
Yes.
If you don't like the idea of like talking to snakes and things like that, where there's an evil snake in the first, 3 chapters of the Bible.
Right.
And then I read Harry Potter, and in the first or second chapter of Harry Potter, Harry, they go to the zoo and he talks to a snake and without even trying lets the snake free.
Yeah.
And it attacks, or at least scares the good kid, quote unquote. I mean, he's not portrayed as a good kid, but attacks the non-wizard kid. Like, the imagery is still there of, I would say, even framing the person who is able to do this image-wise evil stuff as the good guy.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if I feel like that's the issue here is, yes, I'll admit, sure, it's not the same as a prophet of Baal calling down a spell from a whatever. It's fictional, I get that. But it is still portraying a wizard who is doing even unintentional bad things, so to speak, hurting his aunt. I'm becoming the Ministry of Magic, aren't I? It's a real problem. Anyway, so does Harry, though, so that's fine.
No, Hermione.
He becomes an Auror.
He becomes an Auror. Hermione becomes
She's the whatever, but he's still a wizard
prime-
cop who works for the Ministry of Magic.
Yeah.
She becomes the Minister of Magic.
Yeah, the Minister of Magic.
But, man, this isn't a Harry Potter rant episode. I'm going to stop. It is still portraying kid who can do magical things, including talking to snakes, as the hero.
So, this is where semantics comes in. If we said that Harry, for some reason, had a natural inclination for gadgets, and he built a gadget, and he didn't quite know what it does, and he hit a button, and the glass disappeared, and the snake, slithered away, we would be just fine.
It would not be a blip. There'd be 4,000 children's books that have that exact.
It's Tomorrowland. It's what's the one with Mr. What's-It in it?
Mr. X from Resident Evil. That's the Mister that came to my mind.
Dang it!
Playing
it's
Resident
the one
Evil,
that was just referenced in the Stranger Things season.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There are a ton of science fiction children's novels that have to do with this children being special because they are smart.
They're smart. They're smart kids.
They know how to do. Put things together.
We're getting into the realm of magi.
Yeah,
they're magi. They're wizards because they're so smart.
It's Batman versus Superman, where they're both going to do super heroic things that are beyond the ability of a normal human. They are going to do things that you cannot do in the real world. But one writer says it's because he's an alien with powers from another planet. The other writer says it's because he's smart and
because he's rich. Yeah, he can afford to buy this cool car. And that makes no sense.
These are things that it all comes down to just the word that you put on it, and you put the word magic on it instead of the word science on it, and now all of a sudden people are freaking out. And that's fear of a word, not fear of a thing.
Interesting.
And that's a problem.
Now, what if I'll grant you that now. You cannot deny, though, that starting in book 4, there is literal, sacrifice your own arm to raise a wizard back to life magic. It gets into, blood sacrifice imagery and magic, and it's still in there. I'm going to cut you off at the pass here and say, I understand those are evil wizards doing evil things.
Okay.
I'm going to cut you off. That's an obvious one. Should our children still be reading that, though? Should this kind of imagery be something that our children are allowed to read?
Oh, this is something that's...
Because they're explicitly made for 15-year-olds at that point.
There are a lot of books that are on this today on how we have coddled our current generations.
Well, there's been people saying that for literally ever. Every generation says the next generation is a bunch of pansies.
But we are experiencing a lot of the outcome of that, in that things like birth rates are the lowest they've ever been in history because people are scared to go out and meet other people. And, depression and loneliness are the highest they've ever been in history because people are afraid to go out and socialize. Things like, ways that we have sort of protected people to a point of a problem. Anyway, that's a rant.
That's his whole rant now is that
right.
You kids need to participation trophies are the devil.
My point being, there needs to be safe places that we can experience these things.
Okay.
There needs to be safe places that we can experience evil and fear. And sure, we need to be discerning on when we experience these things. At some point, you're going to want to say, my kids don't need to watch Freddy Krueger. Absolutely not. I'm going to be wise and discerning with
until they're at least 8.
Yeah. On when something like that is okay for them. At some point, I had to say for myself, never. I get nightmares. That's a me thing. I'm not saying it's evil or bad to watch horror. In fact, we've talked about how horror can be good. But we need to be discerning with this. But the reality is, it's so important to give people safe places to experience these types of things so that if they are scared, that's something they can process without having to actually deal with the thing right in front of their face. This is why Dungeons & Dragons is so good and so important. It's all the same arguments that I've given for Harry Potter of, look, the magic in it is fiction. In fact, it's math. It's not even fiction. It's math. And
it's problem-solving tool.
Exactly. But it is a safe place to experience interpersonal communication, interpersonal reactions, and then to be able to say, you know what, we're done, let's walk away. For example, in a recent session with the middle schoolers that I have a campaign for, there was a villain who there was a hurricane and was trying to hold on, and one of my players had the opportunity to save him. And he said, no. And I said, okay, I'm going to roll for the villain to hold on. And I rolled a natural 1. And so in the story, the villain got pulled out, flew away, hit a tree, and went limp and just kept flying away. And we moved on, and I looked back to the kid, and he's wiping tears out of his eyes.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I said, whoa, hold on. Do we want to change that? Do you want to go back and do something different? And he's like, yeah, I think I do. And so we did. We retconned it.
Sure.
And he went and he saved him. And it's a good, safe place to have these types of struggles and these types of conflict where we can say, okay, wait.
Ethical dilemmas.
Yeah, exactly. Where we can say, wait, hold on. I didn't like that. That didn't go well. That didn't go the way I wanted it to. So let's do something different. Let's think about this differently. Let's change the way that we're thinking about this.
And you're saying reading Harry Potter can be that?
Yes. Where when we see something evil that we look at and we know that is evil, that is bad, but then we see that heroism and bravery saves the day, self-sacrifice, and sometimes running away saves the day. That's a safe place to experience that. When you read it in a book, and then you can close the book and put it down and walk away and then come back to the book later or whatever else. These are safe places to experience these interpersonal conflicts or these real world conflicts instead of being in the real world and seeing somebody genuinely doing evil or wanting to do evil and thinking to yourself, I have no context for this. I have no idea what I should do, what I want to do. All I know is I'm scared. I'm scared and this is bad and it feels bad and I have no idea what to do next. So yes, I think it is good with discernment for our kids to experience things like this because it's a safe place to experience it.
Yeah, I think that would be even further. I'm very excited for my son to get to the point where he's able to read, books, read, period. He's getting there, but to be able to read and for me to just like be able to read alongside with him and be like, hey, what are you reading? I'm going to read it too. And then I can, hey, man, what'd you think of insert whatever happened?
Yeah.
Like, just have those discussions and not try not to frame it as that was bad. So what do you think? But just like, hey, what are your thoughts? To have a discussion about something. And yeah, no, I think that makes sense. All right. You've convinced me. I have to subscribe to HBO now and I'll have to watch the show. That's a joke. You don't have to do that.
No,
you don't have to do that. If you have heard these arguments and still say, you know what, I still don't want my kids to read it. Okay. Like, there's also not a imperative to engage in things.
Yeah.
I think, like we're talking about, though, our motivations are important. Our motivations and why we are making the choices we are making should be examined and should be taken into account. Okay, I thought this thing at one point. Okay, I see why that's not right. But I'm actually going to say my son should read this book instead. Or, just not this. Whatever. I get that. We get to make our own personal choices. But our goal today, and I hope we've been successful, because I think you did a pretty good job there, Steve, of convincing or at least explaining,
Yeah.
was just to, hey, the things we might have thought at one point or might have been taught in the church or experienced might not necessarily be correct.
Yeah.
And to take into the different perspectives.
Can I get two things?
Please.
Real quick
we need
here?
to wrap up pretty quickly.
Yeah. But okay, so two quick things that I want to make sure we touch on here.
Yeah.
Is there was also this idea, like, what about the secret evil, satanic cults out there or whatever else that are trying to lure people
Yeah, all those
in
ones that exist.
and whatever. Like, yeah, I mean, we want to giggle at it, but there are people who genuinely believe
Sure,
these things,
sure.
right? That there
I
is
suppose so, yes.
Some sort of secret cabal that is trying to bring people into Satanism. The Satanic Panic was all bunk. It came at a time when serial killers were hip, which was terrifying. We're talking about like Son of Sam and the Zodiac Killer and Charles Manson.
Yeah.
This is all in this era when these murderous people are doing and saying awful and horrific things and getting all kinds of news and all kinds of press for it.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden people started looking around and thinking, who else is an evil, horrific person hiding in the shadows that could, take me away? Insert into this a book called Michelle Remembers. And Michelle Remembers was a book about a girl who was in therapy and she uncovered some memories
What regressive hypnotherapy? I think
something
is
of
the
that
term.
nature. Yeah. And she suddenly remembers that when she was a child, her parents were part of a satanic cult and they abused her. And so her therapist, who then became her husband, talk about
Yeah, well,
weird
hold
stuff
on.
after that. Yeah. Publishes this book, Michelle Remembers, all about this. And it explodes. It becomes huge, all about, oh my gosh, there are clearly secret satanic cults out there that are trying to get us. That's where Charles Manson and whomever else, that's how all this happens.
Yeah.
Whatever. Later on, we find out Michelle Remembers was completely
False. There's a
All
whole
made up.
X-Files episode about it.
Dungeons and Dragons gets brought into this because of a kid who was neurodivergent but very, very smart, goes to college when he's 16 years old, doesn't really connect with anybody but plays D&D with his friends. One day has kind of a mental breakdown and just disappears. And they go to try to find him, and all they can really find out is that he was the weird kid that played D&D, and they would go down into like the underground tunnels of their school to play D&D because it was cool down there. Like,
Sure.
haha, we're
Cool
playing
atmosphere
D&D
to-
underground,
yeah.
whatever. And so they literally just made up this stuff about
Looking for explanations
Yeah.
for irrational things or unexplained things.
about D&D, sucking him into this world of fantasy that made him want to do crazy things and whatever. Again, made up. In fact, in over 10,000 reports of ritual satanic abuse, zero evidence was found
Big
for
old
any of
goose
it.
egg on that one.
Zero evidence has been found for it. So Satanic Panic altogether turns out to just be like this cultural moment of panic on nothing, on lies. Really, the lesson of the Satanic Panic that we should be taking is be very careful with your media intake. Be very careful with what media you're believing because you are being lied to sometimes.
Yeah.
And so the second thing I want to bring up is, and the most important, what I kind of want to cap off on all of this is Romans 14. Romans 14 is a really important chapter in all of this. Contextually, we got to remember Rome was very, very secular. Not a lot of Hebrew people in Rome at the time. And so when Christianity came through there, a lot of them didn't have context for the Old Testament and Old Testament Judaism. And so a lot of them were just like, hey, my friends are having this party for Zeus, serving a bunch of good food. They're going to sacrifice the food to Zeus, and then we're all going to eat it. I'm going to go and, be with them, be the gospel to them, be Christ to them. I'm going to go. And a lot of other believers were like, you can't do that.
Can't eat food sacrificed.
You can't
to a
eat food
false god.
sacrificed to Zeus. Like you can't do that, man. And they get in a big argument about this. And Paul ends up writing, and he says, look, he calls them the weak and the strong. So I'm going to use Paul's language. There are the strong who see something that is not forbidden in Scripture. And maybe some people question it, but it's not forbidden in Scripture. And they can partake of that. And as long as they're not betraying their conscience, that's fine.
Just meat.
It's just meat. They're eating meat and hanging out with people. That's great. There are the weak. And the weak in some situations will see that and say, I would feel awful doing that. I cannot do that. They would betray their conscience to do that. They should not do that then.
Can't separate the idea of sacrifice and
Right.
meat. Yeah.
So then that person should not eat the meat.
Yeah.
Don't do that because you're betraying your conscience at that point. Strong, don't force the weak to do this with you. Don't tempt them in with you. Weak, don't condemn the strong for what they're doing. And super duper important verse towards the end of Romans 14, Paul says, do not destroy the work of God for the sake of food. In all of this, I want to say, do not destroy the work of God for the sake of fictional witchcraft. There are incredible ministries out there like Save Point, like Love Thy Nerd, that are out there trying to reach people because of their love for Harry Potter or the Dresden Files or whatever else, and use that as a tool to bring them into the gospel. We can't look at ministries like that and say, oh, you're using evil to bring people in. That is bad. Don't do that. Don't destroy the work of God for the sake of fictional witchcraft. If this is something that you can't support, okay, man, we get it. Don't do it. Don't betray your convictions. Do not do that. It is not okay for you to read Harry Potter or whatever else. But don't condemn us for trying to reach people using that.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, all right, that's what I got.
Yeah, great. Thanks. A bunch of stuff. Now it's taking forever and is all nonsense. Just kidding. That was great. Thank you very much. But we're going to come back and talk a little bit about what we've been into. But before that, I actually have a little bit of story.
Oh, go ahead, my friend.
So we are we had friends, both of us, we knew them. They were friends of ours from church, who moved to Tennessee, about a year ago now, a little less or a little more, about a year ago. It was, they moved to be closer to family. I get it. I was, sad about it, but understood. But it meant that our contact really, like, I would text them every once in a while. It wasn't very much. We were still connected. We would still talk about some things every once in a while, new magics that would come out. Maybe we'd talk or something in life or a birthday or whatever. But it just kind of meant that our connection kind of weakened because we just weren't near each other. And when you got a lot going on in life, you can't maintain every friendship as so easily if they're farther away.
Right.
On spring break this year, my family went on a trip to Indiana to see my wife's family, my family, and we drove down to Tennessee and saw their friends that moved a year away. It was an extra 6 to 8 hours of driving, obviously increased expenses, took a couple more days of our trip. It was well worth it.
Yeah.
Because we got to go see our friends. And what did we do when we got together with our friends and hung out? Well, we watched Shrek, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But also we played a couple of games. We played we played some Magic, and we played a game I got called Pocket Parks. Is really fun.
A good game.
And it was a way that we reconnected. After over a year of being apart from each other, our relationship still existed, but it was pretty digital, tenuous, and it really felt like it made it feel like they hadn't been gone for so long, Yeah. Can't escape that, but I'm just like, you're not like catching up. You're just like playing a board game and talking about life, just like we would have done if they were living, 10 minutes down the road like they used to.
Right.
Games have a power of bringing people together and kind of helping you not forget, but just bridge the gap. And that's what we do here at Save Point, is try to help people bridge the gap in their relationships using games, using whatever you're into, talking about Harry Potter, watching movies, watching the new Harry Potter show, whatever it is. We use these things as a way to deepen the relationships that we have, because we think that is extremely important. To be clear, it's not Pocket Parks that did the magical deepening of the relationship. It was the medium through which we got to just spend more time with friends that we love. And the church is a place to do that. And the church is a place to play those games and to talk about the books. I've had a book club at my church before I started it. It was pretty fun. And we got to talk about books we liked and all things like that. And if that is something you would like to do, please get in touch with us. SavePointMinistries.com, hit up our Discord, find some way, comment on this episode of the podcast wherever you're watching or listening. Please comment. We would love to get in touch with you and try to help that connection deepen through the things that you love and the church that loves you. So thank you. So let's get back into it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, what have you been into?
I just finished the third book of the
Dork.
Dungeon Crawler Carl series called The Dungeon Anarchist's Cookbook.
Yep.
I listened to this one.
I've heard like 4 people talk about this in various podcasts and stuff recently. It's weird.
It's really hot. Well,
It's a very popular series.
it was in indies like book series. Amazon just bought it.
It got, yes,
And
that's
so
true. It
it's-
got huge.
Yeah, so it's been getting a lot of big money,
That's
a lot
true,
of Bezos
yes.
advertising.
Thanks, Jeff.
But which sucks because that means that libraries can't get the audiobooks because
I have it on hold through Libby, so
not the
it's
audiobook you don't.
I do. I have it on hold right now. It's not impossible. I've got it on hold.
How?
I might need, maybe I had something bootleg or whatever, but
Maybe,
I'll
yeah.
double check, but I'm pretty sure I put it on hold because of another
The
podcast.
audiobook, not the...
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well, anyway, so the audiobook was different. It took getting used to because for whatever reason, the guy does Carl's voice as Patrick Warburton,
Really?
leaning heavily into
Like
Crunk.
literally trying to sound like Patrick Warburton, or that's just what the voice sounds like?
If he's not,
It's what a coincidence.
yeah, exactly. Then wild coincidence. He sounds.
Oh, actually, it's the text version. You
That's
were
what I
right.
thought. Yes.
Dang it.
I
That's
googled
not what I
it,
wanted.
and like Amazon owns the
They
exclusive
have the
rights
exclusive
to the
rights.
audiobooks.
It's on Audible.
and
Yeah.
refuse. Yes, it's on Audible, and so they refuse to let libraries buy
didn't wanna
audiobooks,
read a
which
book like a
sucks,
nerd.
man. But anyway, so that took some getting used to. As the book progressed, he did it like he toned it down. I have seen that apparently it was Kronk in book 1. Like he was Kronk in book 1
Squeaker.
for whatever reason, and it like slowly got less and less and less as the series progressed, that he got away from that because
Yeah.
people were picking up on it. But that was tough to get used to, but overall it's also very post-produced. So they modulate his voice a bit to pitch up and down for the different characters. They'll
Interesting.
add not sound effects, but like
Like atmospheric
sound
type
voice
stuff.
stuff, like to
Oh,
make his
interesting.
voice sound robotic or whatever else for different things. And so after listening to all the Dresden Files, where it's just James Marsters
Yeah.
reading the
Just
book,
him reading the book.
and listening to all the Harry Potter books, where it's just reading the book, and after listening to Aragon, just reading the book, it's very weird
Yeah.
to
it's
have
a
all
new-
this
Yeah.
really heavily post-produced stuff in there. I'm not gonna say it was bad. It was just hard to get used to for a while.
A different style of storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah. Once I got used to it, and once he toned down on the Patrick Warburton of it all, it was very good, and I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know that I'll want to listen to an audiobook again, but it was book 3 is very, very good, though. The series is great. Again, every single one seems to kind of be hovering around a central theme of one sort or the other, where the last one was, are the NPCs real? Where the first one was, can I see good in all the darkness of what is actually happening here? Like, can good come of the horrific things going on? And in this one, it was, what if we worked together? What if we all just worked together? Like all of us. What if this wasn't a competition anymore? And it was really, really good for that reason. Book's great. I'm not going to say the audiobook was bad. It was tough for me.
Sure. Just know that going into it.
Yeah.
I watched Malcolm in the Middle, Life's Still Unfair. I love the show Malcolm in the Middle. I watched it when I was younger, and also watched through the whole series when my kid was, a baby, and I would wake up in the middle of the night and feed him, and I'd put on Malcolm in the Middle and just give him a bottle and watch. And it's a hilarious show. Hal is my favorite TV dad ever. It's just hilarious. So I was excited that everybody except for one character, the main cast, was coming back. I was excited about that. And of course nervous, because what if it's not great? And because it happens. I was very, very pleasantly not surprised. I loved it.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
That's how I feel about the new Scrubs.
Yes, same. It reminded me of Scrubs, where it's like, obviously it's not the same thing as the original. There's differences. It's going to be different, but it recreates that spirit well enough that, okay, this is good.
Yeah.
I was disappointed though, because I did not know it was a limited series in that it's 4 episodes. So essentially the premise of the show is Malcolm, now 20 years older or whatever, has a teenage daughter, and is living pretty far away from his family. And that's how he's maintained a successful life, is just being completely, not ghosting them, not no contact, becoming a sociopathic liar, and like being able to craft whole fictional realities of reasons why he cannot go to where they go to Christmas or whatever, why they can't come visit, all these things. Like, it's like worrying at first. It falls in line with his character because he's incredibly smart. It makes sense. And it's like the reason how he's able to be a successful person and have a serious partner who he loves and have a daughter. And the whole idea is he is coming back in contact. I'm not going to spoil. There's some surprises. I'm not going to spoil any of it, but the whole idea is that his parents' 40th wedding anniversary is coming up, their big party, and that his mom, Lois, really wants him to go.
Yeah.
And so they are just like, it's a important enough thing where she is unwilling to accept that he is not able to do it, and they're just coming back into contact. And so, like, the whole show, you have this big event that's going to happen, and it's, like, building up to this, and then it happens, and, of course, you get the sitcom, like, there's some reconciliation and all this stuff, and then the show ends. And, like, there's literally a line at the end of the show where it's Malcolm saying, well, I guess I'm back in this family again. And you're like, all right, this was the preamble to the real fun. Oh, it's over. And, like, some movie started playing at the autoplay, and I was like, oh, okay. So the weird thing is it didn't feel like Malcolm in the Middle. Like, because Malcolm in the Middle was just kind of the everyday life of this family, sitcom style. It didn't have an overarching story, whereas this basically did, of this thing. And so I was disappointed, and I'm really hoping it was popular enough and did well enough to get an actual
series.
Like, it doesn't have to be long. Give me 10 episodes of just the hijinks of what's going on, because they set up so many fun, like, character interactions and things that could happen, and I want to see what happens to the new characters and to Malcolm's daughter and all these things. I want to see what happens because I like her as a character. And so it was really good. And Bryan Cranston is one of the funniest people of all time. Him as Hal
Breaking Bad.
He's just the funniest dude. Like, his physical yes, for being more known at this point for being Heisenberg, his physical comedy is so good. And anyway, I want more of it. So I loved it, but was disappointed. I guess is really my thing. Like, I was just, like, it left a bitter taste in my mouth of, oh, that's it. Okay. Well, it was good.
Yeah, it was so good, but it wasn't.
It was so good, but I wanted it to then move on to what would happen after you have this big reconciliation. Yeah. Steve, how have you seen God? What's brought you to worship?
Daredevil Born Again.
Yes. You
My wife and I.
Wilson Fisk, he's your hero.
Yes, actually, he's a big part of this, but not in the.
He's a literal big part of it. He's a big guy.
So, in the most recent episode, Mercy is a huge part of it. I'm going to try and tell this story with as little spoiling as possible.
Okay, yeah, I haven't watched any of the new season
because
yet, and I'm excited about it.
Big stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
But all this to say that there is a flashback with Foggy Nelson and talking about he has to defend somebody who just relentlessly picked on him in high school. Like, brutal bully in high school. And now he has a chance to represent him. He is representing him. The guy is guilty. He knows he's guilty. Everybody knows he's guilty. Originally, a plea deal is going to be the idea. But he's also working for the mob, and they know that he's going to die once he gets on the inside. And Foggy finds that there was a problem in the warrant. There was a misprint or something in the warrant. And Foggy gets this moment of, I
use this technicality?
I can get him out.
Yeah.
Like, entirely. And so there's a discussion of mercy there. Daredevil has an opportunity to help a villain. But it's a villain. Again, they know he's guilty. He knows he's guilty.
For a fact.
Right. How does he deal with that? Where is mercy there? and then something tragic happens to Fisk, and there are other people in the circle of that he blames as part of it. How is he going to treat them in this tragedy, in this struggle? What is he going to do to the people within the circle of it and whatnot? Will there be mercy there? And it's this showing of 3 different situations of the possibility of mercy, and not only how it impacts that person, but how it kind of spiders out and impacts the people around them as well. And it is such a beautiful picture of mercy and grace. And of course, the whole in the title "Born Again," there's obviously
we need to talk about Daredevil at some point.
We
soon,
really do, man.
Because the heavy themes of spirituality and Catholicism and
yes,
yeah. But we'll get to that at some point.
So yeah, just some beautiful pictures of grace, the importance of grace. That Foggy basically says, it doesn't matter if he deserves it or not. We can help him. The point is, this is a human being that we can give a better opportunity for. Let's do that. And Foggy's trying to make this argument of, I don't care the way he hurt me in the past. I care that his future can be better. So good. So really good episode. Really good conversation on grace and mercy. And the whole series is just great. Very good.
I feel like I do this a lot. The beauty of nature is something that has become very important to me as far as like connecting with God.
Yeah.
Largely because my son has a lot of energy and always has, and we had to go outside. We had to walk around and go do things. So we just wander around the woods next to our house and all that. And we played it a couple weeks ago. I mentioned it before, actually. I got a game called Pocket Parks.
Yeah.
And it is a pretty simple game. It's fun, but it's a pretty simple like set collecting game about like each card is a different national park. And it has, you put them together and they all have different characteristics. If it's an older park, if it's a bigger park, a smaller park, whatever it might be, then you collect them and you get points. And at the end of the round, you got to have more valuable sets than the other players. But it has brought me to a point where being in nature has become such a thing. Like literally just walking through the woods has become such a thing. And I went to Mammoth Cave National Park.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, the part that we did was kind of disappointing. It wasn't. It was a tunnel underground. It was a dry cave, so it didn't have cool cave stuff.
That's funny because that was your thing last week that brought you to worship. Was the Mammoth Cave?
Was it
last episode? And now you're like, it was fine.
No. It has, but it has expanded to where now like going outside and going through the woods, and we are planning. I'm like planning 3 or 4 trips this summer. I've been watching a bunch of stuff, and we watched a bunch of movies because my son is sick, so he stayed home and watched a bunch of movies. And I've been playing video games and all these things. And sure, there might be things here and there, but what keeps bringing me back to the beauty of God is His creation. And just look like I don't know. It's weird. I'm so excited. I've never been to Crater Lake, but even the simple idea of this weird lake, this lake that has been created because of weird circumstances of it being a volcano and all these things, like it just the quote unquote random nature of nature itself, of like, yeah, sure, a volcano exploded and then sunk in and created this lake and all these things. But the beauty we can find in that and the beauty of the world has helped me. I think what it might be is that it has helped me worship in times where humanity's worst aspects are pretty easy to discover, pretty easy to see. We will, for very little reason, if any reason at all, send bombs around the world to kill other human beings. And maybe it's escapism, but it has helped me to worship and see the beauty of this world when things are terrible and very difficult to reconcile spiritually.
Yeah.
So that is where I've continued to escape. Also, I'm excited to go to a place in Italy where there's a whole crypt made of like with bones.
And I'm so jealous, man.
It's going to be so cool. Anyway,
I'm so jealous.
We'll talk about that a lot in a couple months.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you being here with us today. Let us know what you think about witchcraft and wizardry. Let us know what you think about the new Harry Potter show.
It's my favorite D&D ripoff in like a TV show.
Witchcraft and
We're gonna
wizardry.
play some witchcraft and wizardry if you want to, bro.
And let us know what you think about Christians experiencing that type of, fiction and whatever.
Sure. How do
else.
we deal with it? Yeah.
I want to say a really big thank you to the Music Mechanic for the creation of our theme song. You can check him out on YouTube.
Yeah. Also, once again, shout out for Save Point Ministries. That's why we do this podcast. We have a lot of fun with it, but it is motivated by our deep-seated belief that we all need people. And not simply people on the internet who we can talk to and share our opinions, but people we can live life together and spur one another on to good deeds and to live life as the church. And we encourage you to reach out to Save Point if that's something you are lacking, to be a part of a community greater than yourself.
There was one more thing. Oh, no. So, yeah, I always forget. Not always forget. I've been doing well, but... if you enjoyed the podcast, if you enjoy this idea of the marriage of faith and Christianity, check out
Faith and pop culture.
Faith and pop culture and Christianity. Hey,
they're not mutually exclusive. You're
yeah,
right.
Thank you. Anyway, and pop culture.
Sure, that one too.
Check out the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network. There is a whole slew of nerdy podcasts that are also faith-based. A lot of good stuff over there. You can head over to lovethynerd.com/podcasts.
And I think that's all we have for you.
That's
so
all we got.
Once again, thank you for listening to Jesus' Favorite Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Saving Continue is made by Save Point Ministries and is a part of the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network. It is produced and edited by Steve Valdez and Radio Matt Coker. Intro and outro music are done by the Music Mechanic. A special thank you to the Glue Network for their support. For more faith-based and nerd-friendly podcasts, go to lovethynerd.com/listen.